Hallo Klickenabendler, wir sind in Essen auf der Spiel 2022 am letzten Tag bei Corné van Moorsel bei Cwali Games und er hat ja zwei Neuheiten. Die eine kam ein bisschen vor der Messe noch raus. One other game was a little bit earlier as the other one that's called Exhibition 20th Century. What is the theme of the game?
The idea is that you build an exhibition about the 20th century, and in the game you have different subjects. In your exhibition you can build objects. You can place objects in your exhibition. That's how I should say it. And the objects are about different subjects, about the 20th century. For example, in 1930 the first World Championship soccer. Or in 1913 the Charlie Chaplin film, and several different subjects from 1900 to 1999. So that makes 100 cards, and there's an Einstein card extra. So the 101 cards in total. You see that here by accident.
And you want to get the best collection or the more visitors, or?
The best. You want to build the best collection. There's a score at the end, and during the game there's also one score. I will explain that. So the idea is to build an exhibition, and at the start you start with only showcases, and these are the 6 spaces of one showcase. These are 4 spaces of another showcase, 3 spaces of one showcase, 2 spaces and 1 space. And for each showcase there are two rules which always count. One is that the order must always be in the chronological order, as you see it here: 95, 9, 45, 46, 88 and 99. That must always be right. So if you take the first card and you want to place it here, maybe you want to place it here to have some chance to place lower at higher numbers, higher years. And another rule is that each card must be from a different continent. The subject must be from a different continent. You see here North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, South America and Oceania. And so that's precise 6. So here you must have all different continents. Here you also must have different continents, but here is an extra rule, and that's that the years must be maximum 10 years in between. So between these cards and these cards, maximum 10 years. So like here, 54 and 63, that's right, because it's within 10 years. And this is more than 10 years, but the Einstein cards you can choose, that's a kind of joker, you can choose which year that is. So then this is all right this way. There's one exception, and that's what you see here, because in the lowest showcase you must fill with all the same colors, same continents.
Same color.
Yes. And here it is very easy to fill, of course, but here you want one very low card and one very high card, because at the end you look what is the biggest gap, and you compare the players to see who gets the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or 0 points if you don't fill this. Because it can happen that you don't fill everything, because sometimes you cannot fill any of the cards you take. I will tell how you get the cards. Suppose you are white, and suppose it's the start of the game and you are the start player, and this is the next player maybe, and maybe with 3 players it's like here, or with 4 players like this, or with 5 players it's like this. When you are the start player, or when you are staying there at the moment, that means that you must take one of these cards, and that card determines which cards you place, because you place that card, of course, but it also determines where you go to, so where you can take a card next round, next turn.
Because of the color.
Yes. If you take one of the yellow cards, let's say, if you take a purple card, you stay there because it's purple, but if you take one of the yellow cards, then your pawn goes there, so then you know that you take one of these cards next turn. So of course you already look what you can take there before you take this card. Maybe you take this card just for example, and maybe you want to place it here, for example. You can also place it in your depot if you don't want the card, or if it does not fit. Then it's 1 minus point at the end of the game. Let's say you place it here, just for an example. You refill the cards simply with a new card from the stack. and then the other players are. It can happen if this player also takes a yellow card.
He also goes to yellow.
He also goes here. In theory, it can happen that all 5 players are at one space, but sometimes you want to go to a place with many players because there will be new cards there. If you see that the cards available are not good for you, then you hope for better cards there.
I guess the game ends when one has fulfilled the whole board.
Yeah. The game ends for one player if you complete it complete, or if you cannot place any card and don't want to place any here. It can happen that you want to place it here because maybe the next turn you see that you can get a good card. But if you see it does not help you to place cards here, you can stop if you cannot place a card
That
here
means
anymore.
I can finish the game before, and these have 2 turns after me.
All players, it's separated. So the game does simply end if all players are ready with it. So. If one player cannot place anything anymore, all other players can still continue.
All right. Then you count. Everybody counts a coin. The minus points.
These minus points, the empty spaces are also minus points.
Okay.
And then you count all the points from the score sheet. I did not tell that yet, but I will tell them briefly. At first, you look during the game. As soon as you have all 6 different continents, doesn't matter if they are here or somewhere on your board. Not here, you don't count these, but only on in your exhibition. Then you score 5 points if you are the first, and all players in the same round also score 5 points if they reach that. Then 4 for the next, and so on. That's the first thing you get points for during the game. All other scores are at the end of the game. And then you score 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0 points for the largest gap between years here. That's what you see here. You look at which continent you have the most. Normally that's the continent which you have here, and the number of cards you have of it is what you score to. So in this case, thank you. Sorry. In this case it's 5 points because of yellow 5 cards here. You see that this does not bring for all those scorers. This is good for flexibility, kind of a joker, but it does not help you for the scores for the continent.
Yes.
It also does not help you for the scores for the decades, because you look how many different decades you have, so maximum 10, and that's also what you score as points. So this does not count for that too. And you look if you have a chain of years. For example, let's have a look if you see that so quick. 1945, 1946. 3 and 5 is not connecting.
Alright, so it would be 2.
I think it's 2 in this case. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes even only 1. Sometimes one player had yesterday
7 or 10.
6 it was one player. So that's what you see here. Then you have, that's an optional rule to use a secret decade.
So I have a target
or
which
players.
decade I need in my collection.
Yeah. And then you don't know that score at the end for all players. So that's nice to use that rule, because then you cannot calculate before you reveal that. Okay. And then minus points, as we already said, for empty spots and for these. And that's the whole game.
All right. So that's exhibition 20th century,
Yes.
and I already see on the chart there will be an expansion, or the expansion is included?
There is an expansion.
Right.
It's not included, but the expansion makes that you have more. You can replace with the expansion. You can do another coal here instead of one area. There are 2 other coals in the expansion. Also 2 other coals for here. Also 2 other coals for here. You can replace it. You can also add it to make it a larger game, a longer game. But you can only do that with a limited number of players, because otherwise there are not enough cards, of course. But it adds much to the variety to try out those variation rules.
All right. And what's the price of the game?
For this game it's €25.
And you can buy it, of course, where?
At Cwali.com and at Spiel Direct sells it to shops, and several German shops will have it, I hope.
All right. So thanks for the explanation of the game. Wish you a nice last day at the fair.
You too.
And hopefully to see you now after almost the whole lockdowns again the next years.
Yeah. I did not expect mask mandate. I did when I booked the booth. I did speak about them, about rules, and the organization thought they will follow the rules of October.
Right.
But now they made the mask mandate themselves, and that looks very sad. I think. In Netherlands we don't use masks.
We will see how it will go next year.
Yeah, I don't expect any rules next year, but I did not expect any rules this year too.
You never know.
I see hygiene scouts walking around here, and it's horrible, I think. But,
all right.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
See you next time then.
See you.
Bye.
Bye bye.